Shantanu sir, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Mr. Nilesh, I can.
Okay. Yes, sir. So welcome you. I welcome you here at Induction Program JUT 2021, sir. Dear students, we have with us Shantanu. He's having 1.5 years of experience in web development using Java and JavaScript based technologies, and he has worked on multiple coding platforms like LeetCode, Codeforces, Gigs for Gig, etc. And he's very much passionate about web development, data structure, algorithm, Java, and cross-platform app development. Shantanu is an excellent speaker and has a great experience in teaching and shows a great interest in working on new cutting-edge technologies. He is also instructor at Coding Ninjas and full-time employee at Scrumburger. Right now, he is a software developer there. So he's also a public speaker and having 100 plus sessions conducted pan India. And mostly he talks about DSA, algorithm hiring, web development, and Java. So, and he's also a BIT Sindri alumni. So, students, here with us, Shantanu. So, Shantanu, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Nilesh. I'll just also turn on my video. Can you guys see me?
Yes, yes, you are
Yeah,
audible.
okay, great.
Yeah.
So first of all, we have new students, right? New students, new college. So how are the students feeling? It's always like such an adrenaline rush when we get to the college for the first time, when we get to meet the faculty, when we have induction programs like that. So how are the students feeling? Excited. Okay. I was just going through some questions that you guys were asking to the ma'am, which was present over here, and I kind of would really want to say I got really entertained by a few questions that you guys were asking. Anyway, let's move ahead. So, like Mr. Nilesh mentioned, my name is Shantanu Shubham. I am currently a software engineer at Schlumberger, and I am also associated with Coding Ninjas as an instructor and a mentor. I mostly talk about web development, data structures and algorithms, mobile application development, and competitive programming, and basically also some tips and tricks for cracking internship and placement interviews. So that is what I do. And today it feels really good for me to meet all of you guys because you guys have just joined college. And the kind of enthusiasm that we have at the very start of our college life is absolutely enthralling. I remember the first days when I went to college and the feelings that I was feeling, there was constantly butterflies in my stomach. So I'm pretty sure most of you might also be feeling whatever I used to feel. So today I'll be talking about a little bit of career counseling, a little bit of good insights on how you should make a good use of your college life. What are the things that you must be keeping in your mind? Again, I will also be talking about what are the few mistakes that everybody makes in college life, which you should avoid doing. So that is what I would be talking about. Let's move ahead. So, okay, I already see one question coming from Rishabh Kumar. Which language to get started with C++ or Java? Well, Rishabh, it's mostly like a your choice to make. I mean, you can go ahead with C++ or Java. Either is okay. I personally go and do Java, so I do it. I did it in Java, but a lot of my friends did it in C++, so there was not an issue. Depends on your choice. It's technically absolutely your choice. Okay, so moving ahead, because we're all in college, there are some sort of reservations that we have about college. There's some sort of reservations that we have about college. A lot of us have this kind of image that we get about a college by watching movies, right? What do we know about a college? What are the sources that we get to know about a college? There can be somebody who was in your family who was in some sort of college. There may be somebody who was like probably your parents who were in a college, or maybe you know about colleges by watching movies and all. Right. So the realistic picture of college is actually different for everyone. The realistic picture of a college is actually different for everyone. And to be honest, if based on how the media has portrayed college life in India, most of us imagine a college life like what we've seen in movies like Student of the Year or maybe something else. But it's not like that, first of all. A college is a very realistic place where non-realistic stuff like what you've seen in the movies does not happen. So it's a very realistic place, and you must be having very realistic expectations for yourself. That is one thing, that is the first thing that I will tell you. So if you have any unrealistic expectations, like, oh my God, I should be having a like a 5-star hotel like campus, or with swimming pools and with like gymnasiums and with like 10 to 15 different types of sport grounds. And so that's not going to happen. It's a very realistic place, and this place is mostly focused on your overall development. Okay, so that is the first and foremost thing that you must be understanding about your college. The second thing that is very important is that to keep and having realistic expectations out of your college. Now, most of you who have joined college just now, you must be having some sort of expectations from yourself when you graduate from the college. Like your expectations can be like, I want to get a good job. Your expectations can be like, I want to start my own business after I finish my college. Your expectation might be like, I want to go ahead and pursue something for my master's when I finish my college, etc., etc. You can always have multiple types of expectations from yourself when you finish your college. But in the meantime, when you have these expectations in your mind, the most difficult part to achieve these expectations is distractions in college. Now, these distractions may come in various forms and in various people also. So that is again something that you have to avoid. All right. So these distractions are supposed to be kept to the back seat before you move ahead. Okay, now let's talk about real stuff. I was talking about having some expectations from yourself when you finish your college. That is the real reason why you are present in the college. Most of you would want a good job. Why would you even care to join a college when you don't care about your life? That's the whole deal, right? Suppose if you are somebody who is like, oh, okay, it's okay, I don't even want to do a job. I just want to sit at home and do nothing. So in your context, getting or joining college would not be very important. But if you're someone who is like, no, when I finish my college, I want to see myself at this kind of position, maybe in job, maybe in business or whatsoever. I want to go to college and learn something new and then move ahead in my life. So in that case, college becomes a very important part of your life. So here you're going to spend 4 years of your life, and I would really insist that you make useful use of it. So when we talk about one of the biggest aspirations, that is finding a good employment when our job is when our college is completed, there are certain tips and tricks that you must be knowing that is very important for moving ahead in life. Let me just give you one quick example. So now that you have just joined this college, most of you might be preparing for the JEE examination, right? Yes, no, anyone? Before you joined this college, most of you would be preparing for JEE examination. Yes, no, anyone? Right? Most of you were preparing for the JEE examination, right? So a lot of people have different strategies to do the JEE examination. A lot of people have different strategies to prepare for JEE examination. Some people move out of their own hometowns and prepare for JEE examination by joining a kind of a coaching institute or something. Some people believe in distance learning programs. Some people believe in self-study. Some people believe in tuition programs, etc., etc., etc. Now, the thing is that most of us, or most of you, would have started your JEE preparation probably in the last 1 to 2 years. Right. Now, imagine yourself when you were in 10th standard of your school. When you were in 10th standard of your school, there are different things that we were good at, right? Some of you might be good at singing. Some of you might be good at painting. Some of you might be good at dancing. Some of you might be good at like public speaking, etc., etc. Right? So we all have our own traits when we are not bound with any sort of certain pressure. So when you were in 10th standard, you might be good at least 1 or 2 skills, which you were actually proud of yourself. But when you started preparing for JEE, this is a very realistic scenario. When you would have started preparing for JEE, you might have become somewhat reserved. You might have like constricted and restrained yourself from like probably going out and meeting different people or talking to different people. You might be all about studying 24/7. And in this process, you might have lost some parts of your personality. Now, this part of your personality includes going out and having meaningful conversations, and also trying to establish good communication skills with people. And also you would have lost those skills you were once proud of. Probably today you're not as good as a singer that you were before. Probably today you don't enjoy painting as much that you used to before. You don't have that much amount of self-confidence like you used to have before, right? So in this process, and first of all, before I move ahead, do you guys relate with what I'm saying? Did something like this happen to you as well? Because something like this definitely happened to me and a lot of people I know of. Right? It does happen, and it is actually the reality. So depending on how the curriculum is for JEE or any major examination in India, this is the kind of lifestyle all the students have to go through. And you have also been through that. I have also been through that. People 5 years older to me have also been through that. And probably today or maybe tomorrow, you will be talking to somebody who has recently joined college, the same thing that I'm telling you today. This does happen. And in this tips and bits, we do lose our personality. And our personality is something that makes us ourselves. So in this process where we were consistently trying to score better in JEE, we were trying to please the society or maybe please our intrinsic dreams by suppressing what we were already were. Right. So that is something that does happen. And so when I'm saying this, what do I mean to say by this? I mean to say by this that when you are in college, there's a very high chance that you will repeat this behavior without even realizing it. Now, what do I mean that you will repeat this behavior? Because most of you are job oriented, most of you have understood the fact that college is a place to study, which it definitely is. But college is just not the place to study. College is one of those very interesting places where you also get to explore yourself, where you also get to explore your individuality. You are not a child anymore. So that is something you have to understand. You are just about to enter adulthood. And in this phase, you need to make your own wise decisions. Now, in this wise decisions, studying should not be the only thing that you should do. I would not say that you must not study at all. You must study, but it should not be the only thing that you must be doing. You must not be like, okay, I have come to college to study, so I will sit in my room 24/7 and just study, make hardly two friends, and then nothing more than that. That should not be your attitude, because if you go ahead with this, you will again be constantly losing tips and bits of your personality. So with this, you will be losing parts of your individuality, and therefore it will become more and more difficult for you to stand outside the crowd. What I mean to say by this is that whenever you as a person will be assessed, nobody is going to ask you how much marks you scored. Nobody is going to ask you what was your CGPA. Definitely these things do matter in life, but as a very giving a very practical example, what is the most important thing is that your individual self. You might not be very good at studies, but if your personality is good, that is definitely going to matter. Based on the curriculum or based on the backgrounds that we come from our families, we kind of lose the importance of personality that it actually holds in real life. So when you are in college, try to make sure that you are trying to engage yourselves in multiple types of activities which will help you in your personality development as well. And to be honest, there's nobody can tell you that if you do this, it will help in personal development. It is something that you should decide for yourself. Like in your college, there might be different clubs and societies which will tell you to do a different types of activities. But the thing is that if you do not have interest in doing something as such, you should not be enrolled in it. A lot of companies, a lot of side activities maybe outside your college might also try to include you in some sort of network marketing scheme, which will tell you that if you enroll with us, you will have good public speaking skills, you will have good experience, etc., etc. And things like this should be something which should be very wisely decided upon. So this is one of the most important things that you must be taking care in your college, that is not being that JE preparing guy once again. Okay, try to explore yourself, try to talk to people, try to talk to teachers, try to interact with teachers, ask them questions. Don't be one of those people who is not noticed. Try to make yourself noticed, try to improve yourself, try to improve your personality. And that is one of the biggest advices I can give to anyone. Because as a college going student, even when I was a college going student, this was one of the biggest struggles that I had to deal with, and a lot of people I knew had to deal with. So if you're just joining college and if you keep this in your mind, probably you will become a source of inspiration for a lot of people who will want to become like you, who will want to explore their individuality and their personality and would want to embrace it. Because at the end of the day, when you're sitting for a job interview, when you're sitting for, or when you're trying to open a business, or when you're trying to be seen as a leader, these are the things that will be taken biggest notice on. So this was one of the biggest advices that I wanted to give you. Apart from this, when it comes towards the career perspective side, so if anybody over here is interested in IT related career options, I can definitely give you some really good insights about it. So for IT related career options, you have to, and this is not just for people who are studying in computer science and IT. This is for everyone. So if you have the interest of making a career out of IT, you can definitely take my advice over here. And that would be starting from learning a programming language. So in your college, if you're from computer science or IT, I'm pretty sure your college will also teach you a programming language at the very start. But apart from this, you can also start learning a programming language of your own choice. Like for example, when I was in my college, the programming language that was being taught in my college was C. And to be honest, I was not really a big fan of C. So I moved out of C and started pursuing Java, and I really liked it. So in your case also, you can do something like that. And once you are done with a basic understanding of your programming language of your choice, you can definitely move ahead in the careers of IT. So that is something that you must be doing. Yes, you can definitely go ahead with Python also. Now, yes, thank you for reminding me about Python. But I would want to highlight one more thing. You can definitely go ahead with Python. Python is a great language. It's nothing wrong with Python. But there's one small information I would like to give you about Python. Python is a great language, first of all, and it is, to be honest, one of the easiest languages to learn. Python is one of those languages which has a lot of Python is one of those languages which has a lot of freedom. It has a lot of freedom. Now, what do I mean to say when I say that it has a lot of freedom? When I say that it has a lot of freedom, I want to say that there are very less rules and regulations with Python. Now, with less rules and regulations, what do I mean? For example, let's say that how should I explain? Like, for example, let's say that your dad asks you to bring a blue color pen from Ram Stationery. Suppose this is a task that your dad gave you. That beta, please go to Ram Stationeries and get me a blue color pen. So your task is very rigid, right? You have to go to Ram Stationeries only, and you have to get a blue color pen only, right? But with Python, something like this will happen that like you can technically go to any shop to get a blue color pen, or you might not even get a blue color pen, as long as you can basically do that. I know this example is not very clear. Let me just try to give you one more example. With Python, what exactly happens is that there's extreme amount of freedom given to you. So the type of code that you write, it's actually very much error prone. What do I mean to say by error prone? Suppose there is a certain task that is supposed to be done. Suppose there is a certain task which is supposed to be done. If it is finished, like in Java or in C++, you have to make a condition that if it is finished, what to do, or if it is not finished, what to do. In Python, you can write conditional conditions that if it is finished, then only do this, otherwise don't do anything. Something like that is also possible in Python. So if you go ahead and learn Python as your first programming language, it can become difficult for you to learn a more complicated programming language such as Java or C++. So if you learn Python as your first programming language, it will become difficult for you to learn a language such as C++ or Python. That is definitely going to happen. And only because of solely this reason, because in careers we might have to switch our languages, it can become really difficult for you to move from Python to any different language. And that's why I would not suggest you to learn Python as your first programming language. If you learn C++ or Java as your first programming language, it will become a cakewalk for you to learn Python, because Python is extremely easier compared to C++ and Java, whereas vice versa is absolutely not true. So this is one of the biggest importances of, this is one of the biggest reasons why I would not tell you to learn Python as your first programming language. Python is for those people who understand programming concepts really well, and Python makes writing code easier for them. Okay, so because it is for those people who understand programming concepts, Python will not give you that in-depth understanding of how coding works. And because of that, you will have slight reservations about coding, which you will have to deal with when you're switching your languages from Python to any other language such as Java or C++. So you can definitely go ahead with Python, but I would really suggest that you learn a different language first and then learn Python. Sir, should software engineers have to learn Scratch language? What's a Scratch language, Moksha? I don't really know about that. Python is given less preference in placements, right? It's not exactly, Kratika, that it is given less preference in placements. There is no certain language preference in a placement. I mean, you can have slight amount of edge if you know Java, but to be honest, no certain preferences are given. You can start with C++ or Java, that's like I said. RN says C or C++. C++ would be a better option because it is an object-oriented programming language. So I did a course in C, C++ an year ago, which was not fully completed. Will it be hard to resume the course? No, it won't be. Can we start C++ without learning C? Yes, you can. Is it necessary to do C before C++? No, it's not. Cybersecurity/ethical hacking requires basic knowledge of many languages. Not really. Cybersecurity does not, I mean, it does require a little bit of knowledge of programming, but cybersecurity is about securing systems, right? So cybersecurity is a lot of mathematics, to be honest. ethical hacking is also a lot of, what is ethical hacking? It is trying to find out the mistakes in the security systems of a certain system, and then trying to, supersede those systems. That is ethical hacking. So kind of, you do need some related information on programming languages, but for cybersecurity, the maximum thing that you need is probably mathematics. The correct way to learn coding is starting with a programming language. So it can be C++, Java, Python, JavaScript, whatever of your choice. In my opinion, I would always suggest people to start with C++ or Java as their first primary programming language. That would be the first step. After that, it would be learning data structures and then learning algorithms and then practicing. That is the only way. Tell us about some DS algo. Okay, so data structures and algorithms are very important aspects and building blocks of computer science in general. So if I have to talk about DS and algo, let me just tell you what data structures are. So to explain this example, let me just give you a very similar scenario. Suppose you have some amount of water present with you, normal water that we drink, and you want to store this water. So you can store it wherever you want, right? You can store it in a water bottle, jug, a glass, a dam, a water tank, wherever you want. But suppose if you want to store some water for the purpose of drinking it, then where will you store it? In a water bottle or in a bucket? Where will you store it? BOTTW. I'm not sure that makes up for something. I'm pretty sure you mean bottled, right? So bottled, right? Now, why is the reason bottled? Because it is more convenient to use a bottle for the purpose of drinking, right? Similarly, if you want to store water for the purpose of bathing, then probably in this case, you will store water in a bucket. Again, it is more convenient to use. Similarly, data can be stored in multiple data structures, but we choose a better data structure in order to, on the basis of how convenient it is to use that data from that certain data structure. So that is the right way of choosing data structures. Data structures are very, very important for Google Meet also that we're using. For any application that we use on our computer, every single thing is going to use data structures. Algorithms, on the other hand, is basically a type of step-by-step procedure to get a certain task done. So algorithms are things like that. For example, suppose there is a list of numbers given to you. List of numbers. What is a list of numbers? For example, suppose I give you any 5 numbers, and you have to tell me which is the biggest of each of these 5 numbers. Suppose the numbers are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So you can easily say the biggest number is 50. So in order to find out what is the biggest number, you must be having some sort of mathematical calculation in your head, right? So how do we put this mathematical calculation, which is inside our heads, into the computer? So we write a step-by-step procedure. First compare the first number with second with third with fourth with fifth, something like that. So all of that is algorithm. Algorithm is basically a step-by-step approach in order to solve a certain problem. That is what algorithm is. Laptop is necessary in first in CSE. Well, to be honest, it is not absolutely necessary, but if you have a laptop in your first year of college, and if you have a laptop not for the purpose of playing games, then definitely you can make use of your laptop in a very wise manner. Like, for example, when I was in my college, I had a laptop. I got my first laptop when I was about to finish my first year of college. At that time, the laptop that I had was an old laptop. I had borrowed it from my eldest sister, and it was not very powerful. So I was not able to do a lot of stuff. So I got myself a new laptop when I was in my second year of my college. And when I got a newer laptop, I had bigger amount of possibilities what I could do with it, and that really helped me to grow. So if you are keeping a laptop for the purpose of learning and development, then definitely having a laptop can give you really good amounts of edge, because you always have a machine with the help of which you can do whatever you want. So having a laptop can really help you. Definitely, it's not a necessity in first year only, but if you have it and if you make good use of it, then definitely you can go ahead with it, Manohar. Any resources to prepare for C++/Java language? You just need to do one Google search and you will find all the resources that are available. I started with C. What now? There's nothing wrong with starting with C, Ayush, because C is basically, it's very much like C++ only. C++ is just an addition over C. So you can definitely go ahead with C and maybe switch to C++ whenever you want to feel comfortable. You can switch today also, so that is not an issue. How to prepare for coding competitions? How to prepare for any competition, or how to prepare for competition about anything. If you want to prepare for a running competition, how do we prepare it? by running more and more. Similarly, if you want to prepare for coding competitions, it will only come by more and more practice. Now, how do you do practice? First of all, you need to be better at data structures and algorithms and solving questions. And you need to consistently practice these questions on an online coding platform such as Code Studio or any other coding platform of your choice. Any good source for learning C++? Like I said, it is just one Google search away. I mean, it also kind of depends on what type of learning do you prefer. A lot of people like to consume video-based content. If you're one of those people, then you can have a course from Coding Ninjas also, or any other platform of your choice. If you're somebody who likes to read text-based material, then there's a lot of textual material available on the internet. A lot of good books are also available. I'm pretty sure your library contains some really good books on C++ as well. Sir, should we make notes of languages? They'll help us in future. You can make notes of languages that can really help you. But I mean, to be honest, I never personally made notes of any certain language. So I don't really know if it would have helped me or not. But I think it can actually help you. Which language to learn in first year, C++ or Java? I would always ask you to start your programming journey from either C++ or Java. C is definitely good. Colleges teach the language C because C is one of the most fundamental languages. But C is not very much in use today. That's the reason I'm telling you that even if you learn C as the first programming language in your college, you can definitely make a switch to C++. That is not at all a problem. It is going to be actually fairly easy for you to make a switch from C to C++. But I mean, always keep your primary programming language as either C++ or Java, in my opinion. We have to learn C++ as compulsory in first year, or we can choose Java in the first year also. I think this is something that a college faculty will be able to tell you, Ayush. Laptop is necessary in first year. I've already answered this question. Any resources to prepare for C++? I've already answered this question. Already answered the next question. Oh my God. How long would it take to learn good level of Java? Good level of Java. I think 4 to 5 months is more than enough. MacBook preference more. You can definitely take a Mac. I am myself a Mac person, but as a college student, getting a Mac would be a little bit of an overkill because you don't really need that all the performance of a Mac. And being really honest, most of the people who get a Mac in college is not for the purpose of using a Mac, it's for the purpose of show off. So please don't be that person. Try to be more resourceful in whatever laptop that you have, and also try to be a little bit more empathetic to your parents' pocket. So getting a MacBook is a kind of an overkill for a college student, in my opinion. So if you want, you can definitely get one, but that's my opinion about it. Should I aim for OSCP CEH to become a professional cybersecurity ethical hacking? You can. We have to learn C++ as compulsory. I've already answered this question. Different between pro coders and normal coders. Okay. So pro coders and normal coders. Okay, so a pro coder, how do you define as a pro coder? Pro coder is somebody who can write really good quality code and can solve almost all the questions. So a pro coder definitely has a better computational thinking than a normal coder, first of all. And the second thing is that the quality and the readability of the code of a pro coder is better than a normal coder. Now, what do I mean to say when I say that? What is the actual meaning when I say that? What is a pro coder and what is a normal coder? So a pro coder is definitely somebody who has better computation thinking, and they can make their variable names and function names more readable, and they follow good amounts of abstraction into their code. So that is the difference. Can you teach us coding? I can definitely teach you coding. That is not at all an issue. But it kind of depends on what are your requirements on coding. So that is something. But I think because you're already learning in your college, you would probably not need my help. But if under any situation, if you need my help, I'm always available. I will be dropping my LinkedIn ID as well as my Coding Ninjas email ID. So you can definitely drop me a text over there. How much time we should give to coding? Because you're just starting out, I think you should be giving at least 1.5 to 2 hours every day. That should be good for you. I've already answered the good level of Java question. From when should we start working on web development? Web development is a very massive field. There's a lot of things which are present in web development. So you will have to start learning things about web development first, only then you can move ahead in web development. So web development is divided into two parts, client side and server side, or in the more simpler languages, front end and back end. So front end and back end, they are both very complicated. So you'll have to start learning from technologies like probably you can start with front end, such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And then you can start learning about backend, either in Node or Django or Java, whatever's more convenient to you. But I think as a first year student, it will be an overkill to start doing web development Rather than that, I would instead prefer that you start focusing on your DSA as of now. And when you come to your second year, at that time, you can start learning technologies on web development. That can be helpful to you. How much time does it take to learn any language? Well, it depends on if you know any previous language or not. What is the similarity of a language that you already have? Like, for example, suppose you know English and you want to learn French. Then it's going to be comparatively easier for you because the sentence structure in English and in French and the way words are written in English and in French are very much similar. But if you are somebody who knows Hindi and Marathi, and if you want to learn French, it's going to be very difficult for you because you don't have any certain language to relate with. Right, just like that, it depends on if you know a certain language in the past or not. For example, when I started to learn my first programming language C, then it was very difficult for me to learn it. But when I started learning Java, it was slightly easier for me because I had some idea about C. Had I just started with Java, it would have been more difficult for me. So after I started learning Java, I started learning JavaScript also. JavaScript was similar to Java. So I was able to learn it fairly quickly. Just like that, it depends on if you have a previous programming language to refer with or not. On daily basis, I've already told 1.5 to 2 hours. Is dedicated graphic card necessary? No, it's not. How can we speak English like you? If you want to speak English like me, you must find somebody who can help you to speak English and who can help you to improve your mistakes. In my personal case, I am able to speak English like this because in my entire life, I've mostly spoken in English for a very long periods of time. So you can definitely speak English like me, but you'll have to be very consistent with practice. So not that I was trying to speak in English for the sake of speaking in English like this. It is just how it has developed over time. But if you are trying to aim to speak English like me, all you need to do is basically practice. That's it. That's it. That's the only reason. Are ultrabooks good too? Yes, they are good. I myself have used an ultrabook when I was in college, so ultrabooks are definitely good. Is Linux better for coding than Windows OS? Yes, it is better, but as a college student, you will definitely not feel the difference. So that's right. That's about it. As a college student, you will not feel a difference. How we connect with you? I'll send my LinkedIn ID at the end of the meeting, and you can definitely connect with me over there. What will be sufficient for coding purpose, i3 or i5 or any higher? I think if you have i5, i5 is more than enough. i5, don't go for i3 in my opinion. i5 is enough, and above than i5 is also enough. Is Linux better? I've already answered this question. Where did you learn your coding? I learned my coding when I was in my college, and I had to give a lot of credit to my college teachers as well as to one book that I used to prefer, and also my college roommate. I was very, very bad at coding when I started my programming journey. I was really, really, really bad, very bad. I used to memorize stuff and then go and write examinations and still almost pass. I was very bad at programming, but I had to gain a lot of motivation from my roommate who was very good at coding. And I had to take a lot of inspiration from my college professors also, who put in a lot of effort in improving my coding. So that's where I learned my coding from, and definitely a lot of self-practice was also involved. How much time does it take to become good level of Java? I've already answered this question. Is Linux better? Already answered. Microsoft Studio is good. What is Microsoft Studio? Are you talking about Visual Studio, Samrat? I think you're talking about Visual Studio. So I'm not sure if you're talking about that or not. What will be sufficient for coding? I've already answered. Does Cgpa matters in placement? No, it does not. Cgpa is only going to be a criteria to sit in a company. Like if your average Cgpa is anywhere above 7.5, then you are more than safe. How can we get into Android development? So Android development is a very vast field actually. So Android development is a field where you can do Android development using a language such as Java or Kotlin also. You can do cross-platform app development by using React Native or Flutter also. So first of all, you have to make that choice how you want to do it. And then you have to learn that language and then directly go into the libraries that are used in development. So if you want to go ahead with native Android app development by using Java or Kotlin, then you have to learn these languages and then go ahead. If you want to do it in React Native, then you have to learn JavaScript and React framework to go ahead. If you want to do it in Flutter, then you have to learn the Dart language and then learn the framework and then go ahead. I can't speak English properly, so what I have to do? If you can't speak English properly, then you have to speak in English more often, because only then you will be able to improve it. And if you can find someone whom you think speaks better English than you do, then in that certain case, they can help you to figure out what your mistakes are and can help you to improve your English language. So that can be really helpful in my opinion. What will be sufficient? I've already answered this question. Is dedicated graphic card necessary, or an ultrabook which is only iGPU is enough? It's with only iGPU is also enough. So if you want to do machine learning, very intensive image processing kind of a task, then I think GPU will be required, but I don't think it's required otherwise. So even if you have a normal ultrabook with only iGPU, that is more than enough. Or maybe a lower level graphic card such as NVIDIA MX150 or something like that, that is also fine. What is the scope of cloud computing in India these days? Very high, very high, very high scope. Where can we practice coding daily? You can practice coding daily on Code Studio, and there are many other platforms. Maybe we can talk about it on Geeks for Geeks as well. Is Linux better? I've already answered this question. From which sites I can learn ethical hacking? Well, there's no certain site that will teach you ethical hacking, to be honest, because ethical hacking is not a certain things that you have to learn in order to be a good ethical hacker. It is an ethical hacker is that person who can find security flaws. So you have to learn cybersecurity first in order to go ahead and do ethical hacking. For example, let us say that I am encrypting some sort of information which is supposed to be not decrypted by anybody else. Suppose if I am sending some message to Mr. Nilesh. Okay, I'm trying to send some message to Mr. Nilesh. I am encrypting, hello, suppose my message is hello, Mr. Nilesh. So I am encrypting this message. Suppose after encrypting this message, my message has become 12345. Now this message has reached Mr. Nilesh as 12345, and Mr. Nilesh has been able to decrypt the message as it is hello, Mr. Nilesh only. But for this, to find a cybersecurity flaw or to ethically hack the system, you either need to decrypt the message before it has reached Mr. Nilesh, or to maybe do another sort of encryption which Mr. Nilesh cannot decrypt. That is the way you will be moving ahead in ethical hacking. So it is more about finding security related flaws in a system. That is ethical hacking in general. So there's no certain place or there's no certain syllabus that is there to learn ethical hacking. It is more about learning cybersecurity first and then trying to find out how to find flaws in that system. How can we get? I have already answered this question. Which language is important, Python or Java? Both languages are important. Both languages are important, but industry-wise, Java is a more used industry language. What is sufficient? I've already answered this question. Is i3 sufficient for coding purpose? It is, but if you have an i5, I think that will be a better one. How do we get C++? Yeah, we do get C++. What is what you recommend? But if we start from the very beginning, let's suppose from zero itself, then most of the people like you should go with C only. Okay, that's fine. You can definitely go ahead with C. That is not a problem. But I mean, at one point of time, you yourself will feel a need to move to C++ because of object-oriented programming nature. What is software developer? A person who develops software, who writes a lot of code and does a lot of testing. What is Ryzen Gen? What Ryzen Gen? I think 5 would be enough. Which book is good to learn coding from scratch? It's like saying which book is good to learn mathematics. So to learn mathematics, you need to learn numbers, right? So if you want to learn coding from scratch, you have to learn a certain language first. So coding is something that we use by writing, or coding is something that we do by using a certain programming language. So whenever you're learning a programming language, you will get to learn how to code as well. So which book is good to learn coding from scratch? If you are somebody in C++ domain, then you can start with letter C++. If you want somebody from Java domain, then what was the name of the book? What was the name? I forgot the name of the book. The Complete Reference of Java. That is a very nice book of Java. Tell us something about web developer. A web developer is a person who creates web-based applications. So web-based applications, one of the biggest examples of web-based applications today will be major websites such as Flipkart, Amazon, Microsoft's websites, Gmail, etc. All of these are web-based applications. So web-based application comprises of two parts, backend and frontend. So a web developer has to do both or either. And apart from this, they also have to rigorously test the program in order to make sure that everything is working fine. So that is what a web developer is. VS Code, yes. VS Code is fine. Which book did you prefer? I preferred the Complete Reference to Java for Java. How to prepare for internship? Well, it depends on what type of internship are you looking for. How to be consistent in programming? By programming. It's like saying how to be consistent in learning. That's only when you start learning, right? So if you want to be consistent in programming, you have to program as much as you can. That's the only way. In which college you studied, sir? I studied in BIT Sindri. IntelliJ versus VS Code. What would you prefer specifically for Java? For Java, I will prefer IntelliJ IDEA. There's no competition to IntelliJ in my opinion. It's my favorite IDE as well. Which language is important, Python or Java? Both are important, but Java is more important from an industry perspective. What about data science? Data science is a great field, but it's very difficult to get a job in data science domain as a fresher. So that is something that you must know. What did you learn during college life? What I learned during college life was we are absolutely the product of all the decisions that we make, and it's more important to not make wrong decisions than to make right decisions. That is more important. So it is more important to not make wrong decisions than to make right decisions. That is what I learned. And the third thing that is one of the most important things that I learned is that we should always choose our friend circle very, very carefully. That is what I had learned. Yes, Vinay, that is sufficient for coding. Is Udemy good for learning Java? Yes, it is. Sir, which field we have to done specialization according to future prospects? At this particular moment, web is a very strong field as of now. Web is a very strong field, and as well as cross-platform app development is also a very strong field. So if you're good at either of these fields, you can be very good at it. Cloud is also great. Cloud is also great. How much of graphic designing and codings are interrelated? They are not interrelated. How should I go for different path if I like graphic designing? They are not interrelated. They are not interrelated, to be honest. I have done graphic designing using Illustrator and Photoshop as well, and they are not interrelated to each other. How should I go for a different path if I like graphic? If you like graphic designing, I think you can more. It would be nice for you that you go in a UI UX development path. That can be something which is more interesting for you. Which book did you prefer? I've already told you the complete reference to Java. How much? Okay, I've already answered this question. I've already answered this question. What do we need to know during placement? You need to know good fundamental information about the languages about the subjects that you've studied in your college, and you need to have good communication skills. Once you have all of this, you are good to be placed. I have some basic. Okay. How much of graphic? Okay, already answered this question. Did you start coding from college or you knows before? Oh my God, I started coding from very late. I started in college only. And I was very, 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 very bad at coding when I started my coding journey. I was extremely bad, really bad, really, really. I can't even explain how bad I was. I was really bad. I was so bad that I was even questioning my decision of choosing a computer science related branch in my college in the first place. I was really bad. I kind of had this revelation that I have to improve my coding when I was in second year of college. And that's where I started learning coding from. So I had zero idea of coding when I came to college, zero. And I used to be absolutely intimidated by the people who were good at coding. I mean, if there was anybody who could even write, who could even explain me what int was, I was blown away. Like, wow, you know much more than I do. So definitely, I did not learn programming when I was in school. I learned it completely in college. Where do I get cybersecurity course to be perfect in ethical hacking? There are good cybersecurity courses available on Coding Ninjas as well, and on other platforms as well. Maybe I'll have to check about the other platforms. So you can be good at ethical hacking by learning those courses. Is it necessary to know coding for software and web development? Yes, it is necessary. Any tips for off-campus placements? Good network. That is very, very important. The better network you have, the better it is for you. Tell me something about GSOC. GSOC is Google Summer of Code. GSOC is a competition that is organized all over the world. So in GSOC, multiple companies, which maybe are not Google, are coming in to put forward their projects, and you have to basically write why you want to be a part of that project and how you can improve that project. So you have to be a very good developer in order to participate in GSOC. So you have to put forward your proposals, and then your proposal gets accepted, and then you are enrolled in GSOC. And it's a thing for a month or something. And once that is done, based on current standards, you are paid 1 lakh rupees once your GSOC tenure is over. Which ID is good for C++ and Java? For both, VS Code is the best. But for VS Code, in that case, you will have to use Java 10 or above to use VS Code for Java. How much graphic designing? I've already answered this question. Do internship affect our final placement? It can, but it can affect. So if you have done an internship, it can only affect it on a positive note. But you must also be very familiar with what you have done in that internship. Is it helpful that we opt for any online courses for learning language? Yes, it will be helpful. What are the things that we have to face while coding? Not understanding what is happening. That, like, you must be asking questions to yourself why you're writing what you're writing. If you're clear with that, that means you're getting better at coding. When you are coding, you will face really big challenges in trying to understand topics like recursion, dynamic programming, what is the difference between certain data structures, things like that will happen. Which problems are we have to place as placement in fresh in data science? Companies don't want to hire freshers for data science roles. Why? Because there's a lot of data to be dealt with. And the first thing is that they don't trust you with that data because you have just joined the organization. Second thing is that they need to make efficient use of that data. So that is the second thing. And therefore, they always kind of prefer somebody who has some years of experience or who has done a master's degree in order to deal with the data that this company has. So that is what is most important. And that is a reason why you will have to face an issue at the time of placement as a fresher in data science related roles. What was your package, sir? I'm not sure if I'm allowed to disclose that publicly. Maybe we can talk about it on LinkedIn. This is okay. What do you prefer, open source or competitive programming? Well, they both are good in their own perspectives, but because I'm a developer person, so I always love doing open source. What are the things that we have to face? I've already answered this question. What about data science? Already answered this question. How do we get in good internship in top companies? By being really good in DSA and competitive programming. Any online courses you would prefer if you start from first year itself? Online courses, but it depends, Pranjal, on what fields are you looking for these courses on. How to make network for the off-campus. Be very active on LinkedIn. Try to follow relevant people and try to post relevant content on LinkedIn in order to gain some meaningful connections. Any resume building tips? Whatever you write in your resume, make sure it is very much job oriented. It should be very much fitting for the job position that you're applying for. Always write something which is true. I mean, that is, do not write some false information on your resume. It should be well structured, must not have multiple colors, and should have a very standard font. Future of AI in India, it's very high, but future for AI in India for you as a fresher is not that high, being very honest. Online courses like coding, learning a language, yes, you can definitely go ahead and do that. Sir, where we have to get experience in data science as a job purpose? By finding a job, or maybe finding a job as a different, like an analyst or something, and then doing it data science in that company and then moving out of it. What's the power of your glasses? I'm not sure how that is relevant to the to the webinar we are having. Well, it's high. I can tell you that much. I can't see without my glasses. Oh, wait. If you're first year student at now, what will you do for coding? If I were a first year student at now, I will start learning a programming language and to become better at it. Is Internship really that good? In my opinion, it's not. What is data mining? Data mining is a technique which is used in order to filter out data from a certain data source and making or cleaning the data for analysis or storing or for machine learning purposes. That is data mining. What Cgpa is required for MS? Is MS better or MTech through GATE? Well, MS, if you're looking for MS in foreign countries, well, it depends on college to college what Cgpa do they accept. If you're anywhere above 7.8, if you're anywhere above 8, yours more than safe. Any courses that you would prefer for coding learning as a language? All the courses on Coding Ninjas are good, so you can check that out for yourself. What was your college schedule? My college schedule was 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day, 4:30 p.m. actually every day. And after that, we were free to do whatever we wanted to do, which was in the limits of the college norms. Should we go for web development or app development? Either is fine, Kritika. Either is fine. Web development and app development have 50% portion as same, that is backend development. Yes, my LinkedIn ID. Yes, definitely. Also, we're running out of time, so we'll have to wrap it up soon. So this is my LinkedIn ID. Okay, can we go for MBA after Btec? What impact can it have on our career? Yes, you can definitely go on MBA after Btec, and it can have a very big impact on your career. But do not write this spelling of career, especially when you say that you want to do MBA, because MBA professors will reject you by saying that wrong spelling. Okay, so MBA people who like professors or authorities which hire for MBA, they want people to be very well versed with English grammar and English vocabulary. So writing this wrong spelling of career can put you into trouble, Tia. So try to make sure that you don't do that. And yeah, it's fine. MBA can be really good after BTech. It can have a really major impact on your career, because you will be moving out of the technical side and will be moving towards non-technical fronts, which will be all about analysis, HR management, operations, financials, etc., etc. So it can have a great impact on your career. Actually, it can give you professional growth like 10 folds if done an MBA from a good college. Is calculus required for coding? Not really. Not really. It is important if you're learning machine learning and artificial intelligence, but otherwise not really. What language is required to learn cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is more about mathematics, to be honest. It's more about mathematics. It's more about mathematics. So it's not really a language specific thing. One of the most secure languages to write code is in Java. So Java is one of those languages that companies want to use for securing their systems. What about AI and ML? If you are into AI and ML, AI and ML are great fields. So AI and ML, first of all, they are not the same thing. Like for example, what is AI? So have you ever played chess or a tic-tac-toe game with a computer? Have you ever played that game on with a computer? So whenever you make a move, the computer knows which move to make in order to not make you win, right? So that is also artificial intelligence. That is also artificial intelligence. It is not just about Jarvis and having humanoid robots. That is also artificial intelligence, but this is very basic form of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence and machine learning are not the same. Machine learning is something like this. For example, suppose, okay, let me just ask you one question. Currently, tell me what campus or which city's campus is your college is located in? Which city? Which city? In Guna. That is in Karnataka, right? Okay, sorry, MP. Fine. All right. Madhya Pradesh. All right. So if your college is in Madhya Pradesh, let's say that somebody is going to ask you, suppose you are in Madhya Pradesh and you ask 5 people that what is the capital of Madhya Pradesh. Suppose you ask 5 people what is the capital of Madhya Pradesh. And given the fact that you don't know what is the answer, you do have zero idea what is the capital of Madhya Pradesh. You don't know the answer. You ask 5 people, what is the capital of Madhya Pradesh? Okay, suppose 2 people said Bhopal and 3 people said Gwalior. Suppose 2 people said Bhopal and 3 people said Gwalior. Then what? So if you ask 5 people and 2 people said Bhopal and 3 people said Gwalior, then according to you, what will you assume as answer? What is the correct answer according to you, Gwalior or Bhopal? If you ask 5 people and you don't know what is the answer, you will say Gwalior, right? So this is actually a machine learning algorithm as well. Anshul says Bhopal. Well, Anshul will say Bhopal because you already know that Bhopal is the correct answer. But given the fact that you do not know what is the capital of Madhya Pradesh, and you only ask 5 people and 3 people say Gwalior and 2 people say Bhopal, then there's a very high chance that you will also assume that the answer is Gwalior only because more people are saying Gwalior, right? So this is actually a machine learning algorithm. Would you believe it? This is actually a machine learning algorithm called K nearest neighbors. So machine learning is basically about predicting something that we don't know. Okay, so like in this case, we don't know what is the capital of Madhya Pradesh, and therefore we are asking someone who might know. And based on their opinions, we are forming our opinions. It's like that. For example, we kind of have the superstitious mind, right? That, oh my God, when I was going to my office, there was a cat that crossed my road, that crossed the path, and suddenly I fell sick. Suppose this is what happened one time. And suppose it happened 2 times. Suppose let's assume a very imaginary situation. You're going to office or you're going to your college, and suppose there's a cat that crossed your way and you fell sick. For example, you fell sick. Okay, you fell sick. After that, suppose after 5 days again, once you got okay, you saw another cat cross your way and then you again got sick. Okay, so the third time when a cat crosses your way, I mean, based on the superstitious mind, you will assume that, oh my God, if I pass, then again I will fall sick. Right? This is a very intrinsic mentality of the superstitious people in India. Am I right about that? Yes, no? Right? So that is what people think, right? So this is a decision tree algorithm. This is also machine learning. Like if a cat crosses way, then and if you've fallen sick for the last 2 out of 2 times, then it is 100% that you will fall sick the third time also. This might not be the 100% possibility in reality, but this is what we assume to be correct. And this is also a machine learning algorithm called decision tree algorithm. So machine learning is something like this, where we want to find out answers to what we don't know. Machine learning is extremely used in recommendation systems. Like for example, if you are buying something on Amazon, you will see that people who bought this also bought, and then you will see a list of products which are very similar to what you're buying or very related to what you're buying. So this is what kind of machine learning is like. Artificial intelligence is more about what steps should a machine take in order to make a relevant decision, like playing tic-tac-toe game or playing chess with a computer. Suppose a person does an MBA after Btec, then can she join both tech companies as well as management companies that are related to MBA? Yes, they can. They can join tech companies as well as management companies that are related to MBA. They can, as long as the role is fulfilled, as long as the role is required. Up to which extent competitive coding is required for companies like Amazon? Up to 100% extent. I mean, competitive programming is basically a better way to solve DSA related questions. So if you're doing competitive coding, you will automatically be better at DSA, and it can improve your chances of getting into Amazon. Any field, in which field scope is very high, in which sub branch of computer science? Web and app, very high. Cloud, very high. DBA, very high. These opportunities will be very, very good for you. The J in Java and JavaScript, you saw this on LinkedIn, right, Vinay? I saw this on LinkedIn too yesterday. The J in Java and JavaScript actually stands for jobs, which is kind of true because Java and JavaScript are one of the most used languages in the industry. And I feel really happy about myself that I know Java and JavaScript both. Which is a better processor, Ryzen 5 or i5? It's mostly on a personal choice. I think i5 is a better one, but I can also not comment because I have not used Ryzen 5. What means about cloud computing? What is a cloud computer? Cloud computer is a computer which is on the cloud. Now, this is not the cloud made up of water which we see on skies. That is not the cloud. Cloud is basically a virtual computer. It is not a computer which hardwares and all. It is basically a virtual computer on which you are running something. So that is, and to make operations on that, to deploy a certain thing, that is all cloud computing. It's very complicated, actually. It's not very easy to explain in normal words to a non-technical person. Tell us something about IoT and its scope in future. IoT is great, but it's mostly about the semiconductor and automobile field. That is where it is more important. So IoT is definitely a good field. What is more beneficial, doing MBA after Btec or MTech after Btec? Well, Ashutosh, this is a question that you should ask yourself about what you want to do in your life. If you want to go in a non-technical field, then MBA is a better option. If you want to continue in technical field, then MTech is a better option. CodeChef is good for competitive programming? Yes, it is good. Lead Code or Coding Ninja? They both are good. It should be your choice. They both are really good. Should we join an online course starting from 4th October or Coding Ninjas? Yes, you can join. Do CodeChef and Codeforce's rating matter? They don't really matter in a placement. They only matter in the case of how much problem you can solve. Can you please repeat in which field? Okay, web and app, cloud computing, database administration, very high scope. Testing also very high scope. Can we get internship second or third? Yes, you can. How much time did you spend to self-study? I spent a lot of time doing self-study, even 2 to 3 hours every day. Do DS and algorithms have high scope? DS and algorithms will help you to get a job. And that's the end of the day. That's the end of the story. They will only help you in finding a job, in making switches. That's it. Any more questions? We're also running out of time, so I think I can take 2 or 3 more questions and we can wrap the session after that. How much you spend in coding? I did not spend any money on coding, to be honest. I was a self-studying person back at that point of time. And I didn't really spend a lot of money in coding. I used to spend a lot of time in coding. But you know what? Time is money. So I did spend a lot of money. What is referral? Referral is like, suppose if I'm in a certain company and I think you are a good fit for the job, so I can refer you for that job. And then the company can contact you and take your interview and whatsoever. Where are you now? I'm in Pune, Maharashtra. How much time should we spend on coding as a first year student? 2 hours every day. How to start coding from scratching? Where to start coding from starting, sorry. You should learn a programming language first, Adarsh. So go ahead with C++ or Java. Learn that programming language. You can take up a course on Coding Ninjas also if you want, or you can learn from any other platform, whichever is your choice. So that is where you should start. Always the starting phase has to be a programming language. What is the difference between Coding Ninjas and LinkedIn? LinkedIn is a social media. Coding Ninjas is an edtech platform. Can you give again your ID? LinkedIn. Okay. This is my LinkedIn ID. Okay. GitHub is a version control. It's a version control code management software. which is present on the internet. GitHub is a version control actually, which is running on Git, and it is a very important tool in the development industry. It's very important. Is book better to learn programming than videos online? Well, it is. It should be your choice, Ayush. It is. This is not a very generic answer. It depends on people to people. Like in my case, I personally like to read from books than watch videos. But I have a friend who likes to watch videos than reading books. So it should be your choice. What is the company you work for? I work for Schlumberger. I work for Schlumberger. And I also work for Coding Ninjas. Okay, I think that should be it. Yeah. So I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Nilesh.
Yes, sir. Mr. Shantanu, Shubham, thank you very much for your means what you take many questions actually, and students, as I can see, right, there were many questions. So students, if you have any other question, you can write to us, right? We will talk to Shantanu, and he will let us know about your queries. He will okay provide answers. So I'll provide you with the answers. So thank you very much, Mr. Shantanu. Thank you very much for providing us a time, and I also thank Coding Ninjas and Tushar for the session. Thank you very much, sir.